So, don't know when you're watching this, but the time I'm filming this, earlier today, Gibson announced that it's filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Also earlier today, Owen from Circle of Tone, YouTube channel you really need to check out, link in the description of course, made a video discussing his thoughts on what the Gibson bankruptcy means. And I figured I would weigh in a few aspects because I'm a lawyer and I don't practice bankruptcy law, but I took a bankruptcy class in law school close to 10 years ago, and I remember bits and pieces of it. So you're going to get bits and pieces of my memory. Enjoy, everybody. So, big picture. Gibson filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. What does that mean? It means that Gibson is going to try to continue as a company, which means that they're going to try and work with their creditors to restructure their debts and come up with a plan in order to realistically get everybody paid off the new amount that's promised. Unfortunately, the creditors are going to probably get pennies on the dollar, but I wouldn't worry about them too much since they'll be able to write that loss off on the taxes. The Gibson employees, if they're still working, they're still entitled to their wages. I really can't speculate on long-term what their job prospects are going to be. It's really kind of up in the air, which is in the press release that Owen mentioned. He mentioned a lot of forward-looking statements. It's because a lot of this is still going to be decided. I mean, look, I think ultimately what's going to happen if, and this is just reasonable guess. If I was going to go to Vegas tomorrow and put a bet down on what I think is going to happen from the Gibson bankruptcy, this is what I think is going to happen. I think that a third party is going to step in, going to buy the Gibson name for probably a good chunk of change. The creditors are going to get paid a reasonable amount, enough for them to walk away relatively happy. The Gibson brand will be under the control of people that are hopefully competent and not going to run it into the ground. And the CEO, who you mentioned, is was hired as a consultant for the next year and given some financial package. It could be that consultantship position is simply to sort of be around and help with the transition from old management to new. Now, that being said, the financial package he got, he may not be keeping all or any of it. It really kind of depends on the circumstances. From the way Owen described it, it sounds like he was hired as a consultant and given some big financial package to compensate him for his consultancy. So, he would claim that as wages. So, in my mind, if I'm a bankruptcy attorney, which again, I'm not, I would be thinking to myself, well, how much would the average employee be paid to do comparable work? And assuming that he can be hired on as an employee in this capacity, which I'm not 100% sure he can. You're welcome to Google this yourself if you want to find out. But assuming that they can have an arrangement like this, I would be asking if he's being overcompensated for what he's doing. If he is, he would have to surrender those wages back to the debtor to help go towards paying the creditors. There's a term that you mentioned, debtor in possession. As far as I know, all that means is that Gibson is remaining in control and management of its assets. So like a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, there would be a bankruptcy trustee managing the debtor's assets. Here, Chapter 11, so you have a debtor in possession, so it just means that Gibson's continuing to run the business. They don't have like a trustee stepping in to run it for them. What's going to happen to the product lines? I guess I don't know. How much are they worth? Owen mentioned Cakewalk being sold off and bought by a Chinese company. If there's anything Gibson produces that has name value like that, it can be sold off and that money used to help pay off the creditors. So when they say focusing on core brands, again, I think that ultimately the Gibson Guitar Company will be bought by another company who hopefully will return the company to prestige. Don't know if that's going to happen. I guess anything could happen. But kind of based on everything that I'm hearing, this is all kind of lining up. I guess one final point is when I heard about the Gibson bankruptcy this morning, I saw a statement that they hoped to wrap everything up by September 28th of 2018, which sounds like an insanely fast timeline when you're dealing with $500 million of debt. That really says to me that Gibson expects to sell off its company name to someone for the ballpark of that amount and be able to have the creditors walk away relatively happy. Now, will that actually happen? I have no idea. Again, I'm speculating in an area of the law that I only have sort of a cursory knowledge of. That being said, that's kind of what we do on the internet, right? Just give our opinions. And I gave mine. It's taken me several moments, but if you're still with me, I appreciate it. And I'm Marv. And thanks for spending those moments with me. And also check out Circle of Tone. And like this video if you liked it. And share it with your friends. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If I get enough new subscribers, I'll do another video like this. And until next time, be good to each other.